We are back with John Ramsey. He is the author of The Other Side of Suffering. John, speaking of suffering, one of the parts that you were accused of was that you exploited your daughter, the pageants and all the things that that sort of took her from being a little girl. Do you regret any of that?
Well, it's hard to sort that out because obviously we were criticized so much that, gosh, I wish we hadn't done that. Patsy and John Bonet just had fun with it. You know, Patsy came out of the Miss America environment. It was a talent, you know, poise, intellect kind of a contest, and that's what she tried to steer John Bonet towards. John Bonet was a very extroverted child, and give her a microphone, she was, you know, ready to talk or sing. And so she was trying to give her a venue to explore her talents and see if she liked it and was good at it. But it wasn't the main part of her life, and yet, of course, that's how it was portrayed.
But that's how it was portrayed,
Sure.
as if you guys were sort of pageant parents, but
No,
that's really not it at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Patsy used to hope that John Bonet would lose a few of these so she would understand that you do lose in life occasionally.
There was also that sense that you look back at, you were very open, you're very active in the community, people came into your home for Christmas. This happened Christmas Day. I think that's what people forget, Christmas night.
Yep.
So do you feel that that may have opened you to a vulnerability?
Yeah, I think it did. I regret that. I think it's good to be anonymous as much as you can. And we were not. It was a small community. We had a rather large business in that community, and they would run articles about us occasionally. We were growing rapidly and hiring people, and I don't know. I think that perhaps targeted us.
Is anybody still working on this case actively from...
Well, there are men and women who came into the case on their own, seasoned, retired homicide detectives that continue to work on it as the need presents itself, and I'm grateful for that. Lou Smith was one of the key guys that did that for years. Now, he died a year ago, but which was a loss of a friend and a real ally. Lou used to tell me, he said, John, I'm going to get this guy.
One thing that's been very evident is that a lot of the scientific methods, particularly DNA evidence, is what eventually completely cleared you and Patsy.
Yes.
You got an apology from the district attorney, finally. Different district attorney that originally hunted you down. How gratifying and validating was that?
Well, it was gratifying in that it was a step forward. It was a huge step forward. You know, we'd crossed a bridge that was important in terms of solving the case, in my mind. I didn't look at it as necessarily a point of closure, but it was progress, and that's how I viewed it.
How did you stay with some level of faith? Because this would be the kind of experience, and it's not just the John Bonet death, but Beth, and then the media circus that you went through, accused by the police. They're supposed to be the good guys. They turned out to be the bad guys. Yet you did not give up on your faith. How did you maintain it?
And that's part of what I tried to deal with in the book, to help people with the same issues I dealt with. When Beth was killed, my oldest daughter, the first words out of my mouth were there is no God. I just screamed that. I hit bedrock, and I started to grow from there. And I think anytime something tragic happens in one's life, their faith changes. I've met people where it just went away. They said, well, there can't be a loving God if this is what's happened to me. But it grew, and I began to understand what God promises and what He doesn't promise. And He doesn't promise us protection from difficulty. He promises to get us through difficulty, and I began to understand that. And I also, kind of after the fact, started to see where God had put people in our life along this difficult path that helped dramatically, Lou Smith being one of them.
Yeah.
I thought, that's how God gets things done. He works through people. And it was very clear to me, looking back, that indeed there were people in our life at just the right moment that got us through. And that, in my mind, was God. So my faith was very much strengthened, and that's what I wanted to help people with in the book.
And I would say, John, that I think that's what comes through more than anything. It's a very compelling narrative of what happened, but more than anything, the conclusion that I come away with is that despite all of the challenges and all the pressures, you were able not to escape those things, but to find God's peace and God's grace through them. It is a remarkable story. The book is called The Other Side of Suffering. By the way, good news, all the members of our studio audience are going to get a copy of John Ramsey's book.
Wonderful.
And, I appreciate that for the audience. And I want to say, too, that the message that came through to me, and I hope it will to you as you read his remarkable book, is that you don't get to choose the circumstances that come into your life. There are going to be things that you didn't ask for. But it's not that you're going to be all by yourself and abandoned when it happens. And I do hope that it's something that you'll never forget. It's a powerful, powerful message. The other side of suffering, and I hope you'll always be on the other side. Coming up, we're going to be rejoined by Robert Davi and an old Blue Eyes classic. Stay with us.